Ron, brother.
Well, hello. Welcome once again to the Far From Normal Radio Show. I am Jay Moss, your host, and as always, I've got my brother over here, Mr. Bud Vino.
Yo, and yo, my brother from another mother, J Money Moss, May 14, 2019, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 7 o'clock Central. We've had a 2-week hiatus, Jay, and we're going to get into why probably right about now. Hello, everybody out there. Thanks for joining us. Sorry about the break. We're going to get into it. It's going to be a fun show, Jay. An empowering show. Get ready to laugh and maybe cry. Do it all.
Absolutely. As we normally have, and we're turn over to our brothers over here, Randy Davis, Neil Shelton. Neil's out, of course, with the promotion of his book and things like that. But unfortunately, we've had an issue where Randy had experienced a mild heart attack. He had not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 bypasses. This guy has put his heart and soul and effort and might into the movement as much as he possibly can, and helping and empowering people and doing the very best he can. So somewhat sad news to see Randy out, but we know he's going to be back. He's going to be better than ever. He's going to be
Right.
recharged. And of course, he's going to want to rev it up.
Oh, rev it up. I told Melissa we'd give us a big rev it up. And I got to tell everybody out there, as you know, I've been trying since Randy went down to figure out a way to blame Jay. As I told him off the air, we usually blame Jay for everything. So I'm trying to figure out a way to blame Jay for Randy's heart attacking him. So, and as I said to Melissa, we'll give a shout out to Melissa, and I know we'll give a shout out to a lot of people tonight. We're going to.
Oh, yeah.
But it's going to take more than this to drop Randy. When you look at, I won't get into too much detail, Jay, but the way his heart was functioning, he shouldn't even have been upright, let alone being productive. So I said, this is not going to take him out. He's got a lot left to do. So never fear, people out there. And we're too selfish too, Jay, to let him go. It's his. It's not his time yet. And it's been it's drawn us even closer, Jay. All of us.
Yep. It definitely has. I tell you, we've been on the phone on a consistent basis. Maria's been up there personally. To tell you the truth, Bud and I and even Neil himself was going to go to North Carolina and take a camper with him. And we were all going to go down there as well, but we were told no, just let this relax. Let's see how the surgery does. And he's going to be doing fine. And I'm telling you, people, look out, because I've already heard the hospital stories over there. They're going to be anxious to get rid of Randy.
Yeah, well, that was the first thing, because when we were talking about maybe heading down over there, Jay, I said the only problem is, because Maria said, I know he would love to see you guys' faces. Like I said, well, I don't know, but imagine seeing Bud Vino's face when you get up, you'd think you're in hell. I told Maria, I said, I don't know if we want him seeing me. He's going to think he's in some weird freaking purgatory or hell. And she started laughing. But that's how close we all are. It's really genuine. That's why it works on the air, because it's not even it's a smooth transition. This isn't a show. But when one of us goes down, we all do, in terms of, and that's why we're here tonight, Jay, because the show goes on. We pick up for each other. If I went down, the show goes on. Jay goes down. If I got killed in the head-on collision, I would want the show to be on next week.
Yep.
And that's what we do, because the people out there need it. And I want to thank everybody too, Jay, that reached out and asked about Randy, because we were inundated, not only through the show, but individually, and the love people have for this guy. Rev it up, Jay.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'm telling you, the story of that Melissa told me about poor Randy having to shave his chest hair, that one might have drove him nuts.
I wish I could have video of that. See, that's we wish we were there for. It's like those missed opportunities.
Oh yeah, because he is very proud of his chest hair. So
who knows what else he had to shave? I don't know, but I know with certain surgeries, there's reasons they have you. But I'm going to find out. That's one of the things we do. We're going to vet Randy when it comes to his.
Yep, exactly. And, to find out exactly how this surgery went, who knows? It could be a swimsuit edition of the Far From Normal radio show calendar coming out here. You never know. We were talking about that off the air.
Far From Normal radio show, the convalescent edition of the calendar. All of us in various stages of disarray. Yeah, that would be good. We'll start with Randy and his shaved chest.
Shaved chest, yep. Shaved chest. Absolutely. Yep. I know we've got some callers in here, and I'm going to bring some in a little bit. But honestly, I think a lot of people were shocked and everything when this first went down, and there were some rumors that went around that Randy was in a car accident. No, that's not the case. As with everything in the movement, there's a lot of rumors that are false, and they get out there. And so that's why we wanted to come out, and we wanted to bring the actual truth out and say, hey, look, he's had a heart attack, but he is fine. He's in the hospital. He will be fine. We know that. And so we never doubted that. If there's any ounce of anything out there, it's positivity out of Randy. So we know that he's coming back. It's just a matter of time.
Well, I had thought about it. I said to Allison, I may have mentioned it to you, JLC. I thought about putting out some really obscure sort of story on what happened to him. But see, with the amount of people that watch it, with my luck, it would catch like some viral fire, and then the latest rumor would be, that Randy was attacked. It'd be some really weird story. So I said, no, I won't do that. But we'll have to think of some fictional story why Randy's heart had the balls to try and attack him.
Yeah, well, that's strange in itself. And I mean, a lot of us also in the movement, and I will say this, a lot of us in the movement who go through these things, I mean, it takes its toll over time. And, being thrown in jail and all the things that Randy's had to go through. And then on top of that, what people don't understand or maybe know is that when Randy gets on a tangent with trying to help people, he takes a lot of these cases and he does them and he follows them through to fruition. And you see people get their kids back. But that's a lot of stress and anxiety that somebody's putting on themselves as well. So each of you advocates out there, make sure that you're taking care of yourself. I mean, it's ultimately something that's important that we obviously need to take a closer look at, the adverse effects on advocates, because a lot of our advocates out there do lessen their life because of the fact that they're putting stress and anxiety on themselves of some of the other people's cases. So we got to be very careful and mindful of that.
Yeah, well, it's ironic too, Jay, that you mentioned that, because that's one of the things I said to Melissa, because before the show tonight, Melissa and I have great conversations with her. I'm very lucky for the circle I have. But as I told her, not minimizing anything, but, and it's to the people in the movement, advocates or people fighting for their children, whatever the case is, you've got to take care of yourself, because everything is multiplied when you don't eat right and you don't sleep right. And sometimes it's hard, but you've got to force yourself. As I said to Melissa, take good care of yourself, because you're no good to other people if you're not at the top of your game. So for that friendly advice for people out there, make sure you're your own best friend.
Absolutely. And let's see here. We're going to go to our first caller here as we get on here. I'm not sure who this is because it says LGK20 plus. I'm hoping that I can bring them in. Let's see if it works or not.
If not, it's all Jay's fault if you figure it out.
Well, we'll try and bring them in here. It looks like I see them, or at least they're LJ20 plus. I'm going to unmute them here. Who do we have on the line, caller? Log in. Here we go. Hi there.
Hey. Yeah. Hey, how you doing?
Great. How are you this evening?
I am blessed and highly favored.
Yeah, it looks like we're breaking up a little bit there.
Thank you and everybody.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, we didn't get to hear you because it broke up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I want to thank Chief Randy Davis, Melissa, you, Bud, Brian Cantor, and everything for all the prayers and everything. And I know that Randy Davis is going to pull through this.
Yeah.
He's a very strong man. I'm going up to the hospital to see him.
Good.
Who are we speaking with?
He's done so many wonderful things for so many people. This is Dawn Collins, by the way.
Hi, Dawn. Great.
I came all the way from Alabama to North Carolina. He helped me tremendously at the Nancy Schaefer rally.
Great.
And gave me a lot of great advice.
Amazing.
And I've known him for years, and he does nothing but help people. And I want to thank you so much for this show. You don't know what a blessing it is. And how much I love you guys. Keep up the great work.
Well, thank you very, very much, Dawn. We really appreciate it, and definitely appreciate you logging in here and giving us a message there for Randy.
Absolutely, Jay.
And I'm sure that Melissa will be looking out for you here pretty soon, and she'll see you. And I'm telling you, I think that he's going to have a miraculous recovery in which we may not be very long before we see him back on.
Oh, I know. I have been praying with her, and I've let her know if she needs anything. She's got my number.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate you.
You're a blessing. Thank you. Be safe in your travels. We love you.
All right, we're gonna let Dawn go here, and here I'm gonna
Jay, as you either get another call or let her go, it's funny because as Dawn goes, she thanked us, and I said, a lot of people know we have our pre-show talk, usually right before the show, one-on-one, and I said, and I've said many times, on a selfish level, people thank us, but we're all a big family. You know, all of us in this, you know, we need it as much as the people out there. And as Jay said many times, we're just the ones that are gifted to be able to bring it. You know, we feel very blessed. And so it's very therapeutic for all of us included. So we thank you, Dawn, and everybody out there.
Absolutely. And I think that there's been a wave in circumstances. And before we take our next caller, I'm going to say this. I think that there are those out there who feel it as if you criticize someone, maybe, that you may be causing division. And I don't really necessarily buy into that. I think that it's just as if you had necessarily a 16-year-old kid, and that 16-year-old kid ran a red light. Wouldn't you pull them aside at least, or try? Or maybe you may have to publicly say, hey, look, you screwed up. You know you screwed up. This is what it is. Let's get it back in check and let's roll. You know, there are times when we have to do that. And I think Randy tries to do that a lot of times. And he's taken that chief role into doing that. And sometimes that is a very highly critical place. But I don't think he'd have it any other way. No,
Randy is Randy. And that's what I love about Randy. Randy Real, Rev It Up, Mr. Rev. And that, as you know, that's what behind the scenes, your money, he's Rev, Mr. Rev, Rev It Up, Rev, the Revmeister. That's why when we're behind the scenes, we're very real with each other. And he's as real as you can get. He is who he is. He makes no apologies. And the one thing I've learned, and I've discussed it with my wife many times, and with Jay, and I just with Allison the other night, is one of the biggest lessons I learned was on the show through Jay and my relationship, is that you have to let people be who they are. You can guide them right. But, you know, Jay is his own person. I'm my own person. So Jay has his drive in terms of what he believes in. And I, as a man, that's his belief. I love him. Whether he agrees with everything I do, vice versa, you've got to let people be who they are and grow with what they have in their heart. So one of the biggest things I learned is to let certain things go. And then what drives you, you know, go with if it's healthy and if it's helping. We all have different ways of going about things. But the proof's in the pudding, Jay, with this show and you and I. It's been over 2.5 years now.
Oh, yeah.
We may, that's the wonderful thing about you and I. A lot of people have said, Jay, I was, you know, the nutty one, you're the calmer one. We're a beautiful blend. And I think that's what's helped us, but it's always been real. Jay doesn't try to change Bud Vino. I've always said, Jay doesn't worry about Bud Vino on the air. Bud Vino doesn't worry about Jay. We love each other. We encourage each other. I love who he is. He loves who I am. And it's authentic. Do we always get along? No. But we've learned a lot better on how to do that. We've grown together as opposed to we've let things organically grow our friendship into something even stronger than it was on an intimate level, on a very human level. That's why we can't be broken. It's the same with Randy and Neil. Behind everything, we love each other. If there's an issue, believe me. The one thing, and I sent it to Mondo, I sent it to you too, Jay, that great meme. It said, real friends talk shit to your face and say nice things behind your back. And that Jay loved it right away. And I knew why he did in Mondo, because that's a fact.
Yeah.
So again, and these are the sort of relationships that you build when they're authentic that can't be broken.
Absolutely.
You know, so.
Yeah, and I'd say 100% that's absolutely true. And I think a lot of people don't maybe know or understand that once we're off camera, the roles kind of reverse as well. Yeah, for 2.5 years, we've fooled all of you because quite frankly, behind the scenes, I'm the more hey,
Right.
we got to do this, that,
Right.
and you know, and I'm more into it, and Bud is the more calm, relaxed
The
one.
more structured. Yeah, it's funny because that's true. Jay's more, people would think it wouldn't be that way, but I'm more the, off the air, I get more, I'm actually, you wouldn't think that, but I'm more leery of certain things that we do because of the integrity of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And Jay and I have both learned. We've taught each other, and what we've done is accepted. And the one thing I've said to Allison too is there's been certain things on the show, and I know for both of us, where ideas Jay's had, and I've said in my head, and I've said to him, they're not going to work, but you know what, Jay, I'm going to humor you, and they effing worked beautifully. And vice versa. So it taught Jay and I both that we don't have all the answers. Like, let's just try certain things, because you can always fix. You know, if the old saying goes, if you try and fail, that's one thing, but if you fail to try, you know, never have regrets. Jay and I don't even believe, we don't use that word. No regrets, just experiences.
And I'll tell you that what we've added on to this team with Randy and Neil is some of the same exact attributes that we have when we first came out with the Far From Normal radio show. You have Neil, who is a more relaxed person, and Randy is revved up and ready to go. And that is the great blend that you can bring together if you have people who respect one another and give each other the space to grow and encourage that growth. But if you try and hinder that growth and, hey, you're going to be the funny guy and you're going to do this and that person's going to do this, that just does not work, because that's not the right personalities. It doesn't work on the radio. And guess what, folks? It does not work in your relationships either. Exactly. Don't try and tell your wife how she has to be. Don't try and tell your husband how he has to be. Love them for who they are and what they do and what they bring to the table.
Absolutely. Jay, I'm glad you mentioned relationships in terms of this, because see, just like a relationship, this show too, because even there's some weeks, you know, because we've done this again a long time now, there's some weeks where one of us is down, like in terms of we're just not on. When the light comes on, we tend to all get into it. You know, we get into it. But the point is, just like a relationship in this show, over time, if you weren't authentic, it would show. Because, and it's just like in any other relationship. So my point is, just be authentic from day one. Don't try to impress anyone. That doesn't mean be a jerk, but just be you. Because over the long haul, people are going to find out. You know, and you want people to love you for you. You don't want to worry. Be you.
Exactly.
If people don't like it, screw them. You know, don't waste time worrying about the people who don't care. Worry more about people who do. And harness those and nurture those relationships, Jay.
Exactly. And those who definitely show you. And I'll tell you, Randy has showed us, Neil has showed us completely that they're in this, and we're doing the right thing out here all the time. And you see a lot of those people who may not be doing the right thing all of the time, but you know, you can guarantee this, the future of our children's video network, everybody's doing the right things behind the scenes. Everybody's pressing to get things done. And I'm telling you, there's going to be some good things coming down the pipe very, very, very soon. With some sponsorships coming on. And also, I have to kind of mention that since we're on that kick, sponsorships, we're going to say $599.99. So $599.99 for an entire year. We will run 8 broadcasts. Well, we may run 4 right now, but we will eventually get back up to 8. And we will run those broadcasts and we will advertise for your business each and every time we come on the air. And understand that advertising with us through most of our social media platforms, we get anywhere between 3,000 and 8,000 viewers usually a week. That is on the norm. Sometimes we get higher, sometimes we get lower, just really depending on what's going on, what the show is, what people really want to see. So you will be out there being able to get your business out there to people. So we do that through our PayPal right now, and you can definitely send me a note if you're interested. We're doing this for 501c3s, 501c4s, and for businesses out there. Hopefully we can get 2 or 3 of those contracts, and we won't have to come to those people and those individuals out there and say, hey, look, would you like to sponsor us for a month for $50? But we have that sponsorship available as well. There's $49.99 for a month. We can definitely sponsor and say, hey, look, so-and-so wants to contribute, and we'll put it out there that, hey, so-and-so contributed, so that we can go ahead and do our Zoom process each and every single week, because that's very, very important. And it's kind of like PBS. PBS needs donations, and they rely on those things in order to stay on the air. And we do a lot of the same kind of things. So we're trying to get out a public service, usually each and every single week, based on what you all are going through in the family courts with DSS situations, CPS situations, all of those different things, the marriage counseling, the empowerment, all of those different things we bring to the table. Sometimes we bring celebrities to the table as well. So I know that we're going to get into another caller here pretty soon here, Bud.
Well, Jay, before we do, I have to give a happy belated Mother's Day to all the wonderful mamas out there.
Definitely.
And I know within the movement it was hard for a lot of mamas out there. And also a shout out to the dads who are acting as mamas and the stepmamas, as our good friend Jesse Weiner, who is out of jail, thankfully, would say, bonus mom.
Bonus, yeah.
I love that. I love that. So happy belated Mother's Day to everybody, and keep fighting. You're worth it. Okay.
Absolutely. Let me see if we can bring in the next person here. If it won't take me too long here to pull up.
Yes. Well, I purposely. Oh, look at it. I know who this is.
All right. Looks like we've got Shirley Gers. Cher, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing fine. How are you guys?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Looks like you got your thumb on the camera, but that's okay.
I do. I do.
All right. Well, that's fine. Yeah, we want to give you the opportunity to say some encouraging words, obviously, to our brother out there, Randy.
Yeah, Randy, I've been in contact with Melissa, like you guys have. I haven't called him because don't want to bother him.
Right.
And so we've been in contact, and Randy knows I love him, and I continue to have prayers going up for him day and night. So I just wanted to kind of give a shout out to him, that, you know, we're all thinking about him day and night. As far as you guys in your show, it's amazing. You guys really take on some really tough stories, tough issues. When I first met Randy, he not only helps people with their cases and DFS issues, but there was an advocate that was being viciously attacked.
Mm-hmm.
And I just I have a very close relationship with that other advocate, and he just came, I mean, full barrel, I mean, just revved up and came out and protected her, which she was in even a dangerous situation. So he did a marvelous job, and I just had so much respect for him from that moment on. And then we became, you know, close friends, and you and I had talked with you many times while that was all going on as well. So, and I haven't had as much chance to talk with Bud, but I've watched your shows, and you guys are all very cohesive and play off of each other. And so it makes the show very interesting. Some of the shows are so hard to watch because they hit so close to home. So, but you guys always do a fabulous job in bringing a little bit of happiness as well into the show, even though that some of them are, you know, just horrible, horrific stories. So you guys all do a really fantastic job, and I'm just proud to be part of whatever I can do to help out and be part of the team.
Great. Thanks so much. We appreciate you sharing.
If I could, before Cher goes, Cher, first of all, Bud being here, I thank you. I know who you are, Cher, because you're always so supportive. We've never spoken, but I consider this an honor to be able to speak with you, because you've done a lot for us as well. You're very supportive, you're very positive, and it's people like you that make us want to come on here, because again, it makes a difference, and you make a difference for us too. We're all in this together. We love you. Thank you so much for your kind words. Keep pushing. You are part of this team. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
And as far as Randy's shaving incidents there, we don't exactly know where all he's been shaved, but I did make a wonderful post to Melissa about some cream that
Oh, this is beautiful.
he could perhaps use. So
Oh, Cher,
to
you are
see that.
fitting right in. Cher, you're fitting right in. See, my mind's racing now with all the things. I told Melissa, I said, this is going to be fun too, because this gives us a chance to rib Randy a little too, guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he can't protect himself right now. He's not on the show.
Right.
Well, if he was on here, let me tell you, he'd be ribbing right back.
That's right. Right now, he can't defend himself, so we can dip his hand in warm water when he's sleeping and try and make him wet the bed. You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And maybe we could order some of that cream for Melissa for when he gets home to take care of the hair in the areas in which he still has when he gets home.
Yeah. Oh, there's a plethora of ideas. This could get bad. Yes, Cher, thanks. You've been awesome. And again, when all else fails, Cher, never forget, blame Jay. Let's just remember.
Okay,
that.
we'll blame Jay. We'll put Jay's name on the package of hair removal.
Whatever it is, always blame Jay. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I gotta. That to me is like I don't know. I could see somebody trying to rib him and sending him a slip and slide and some baby oil.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. You know what? One thing my stepdad, rest his soul, what he used to do, and it would piss me off. I don't know why, but he would get a kick out of if I'd pass it on the couch, Jay. He'd take like a pillow, the edge of a pillow, and tickle my lip. And he got a kick out of me flipping out. And I would, and I'd get real angry because even though that's not, it just would really, so I could picture Randy doing that to him. You'd have to like jump way back because he'd start flailing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I don't know.
Well, the picture is that I know that there were some tubes that were in him at one time. And I did know that Melissa told me that it took 3 or 4 nurses to hold him down because he's wanting to pull the tubes out and go home. So.
Oh, yeah. And I'll tell you too, I worked at a hospital for years, and people that are dealing with certain things, or they might be induced, on certain things because they're, going into surgery or coming out, they have like superhuman strength. It's great. And Randy's a badass anyway.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, but he's not such a badass now that all his hair's gone off his chest and his leg.
That's right. He's getting in touch with his feminine side. They've emasculated Randy just a little bit. And what I wish I was there so I could paint his toenails and his fingernails when he was sleeping. So he's feeling real good.
We're gonna paint in each of them, rev it up.
We're gonna bedazzle it. We could have put rev it up with like bedazzle beads on his hairless chest.
Hey, we could have actually put that with the hair removal cream on his back and on his other.
Oh, good Lord.
Great. Yeah.
All right. Well. Yeah, I'm going to let Cher go here, but thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
You too. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead.
Rev it up.
All right. Yeah. So for those who are wanting to log in and send your get well messages, I suppose that would be it. I know maybe Reb Ryder might be out there here pretty soon. I know Bud's volume's a little bit low, but I cannot get the mics to control individually.
Is that someone saying my mic's low?
Yeah, your mic's a little bit low. But if you'd like to log in, definitely you can log into the Zoom at 211-836-259. Yeah.
Jay,
yes.
First of all, John Mondu is going to kick my ass because John Mondu is my brother, as some people know, from another mother. He's a good friend almost from birth. Every week he watches the show. He's like a manager of mine behind the scenes for people who don't know. Yeah. He's always wonderful. The one thing he gets mad. He's like, yeah, we got to get you new equipment. It pisses him off. because there's a lot. So I'm going to see if next week I can have something new.
Yeah. And it only goes up to 64 on my side, and it just sticks there sometimes too.
Well,
so
okay. I'm not kidding you. I went to my 8-year-old and asked his opinion, like on like mics and stuff. And the funny thing is, I didn't even tell him. I didn't even tell him what John said, and he said, he said, Dad, I think you should get like a standing mic. And he's telling me all this stuff, and it was what John said. I'm like, why is my 8-year-old telling me these things? Like, but he does. So I literally asked him if I'm dead serious. And what do you think, Mace? What do you think I should? Oh, he said, oh, and he's telling me all that. I'm like, I don't even know what he's talking about, but I believe him. He's not going to steer me wrong because he knows he'll get to use the stuff too. So he's going to want to do it right.
Yeah, absolutely.
It pisses John off to no end. So he's going to love this, that I'm getting ribbed. So I apologize. Again, I mainly blame Jay because he tells me before the show when we do radio checks, I sound fine. So now look at you did, Jay. It's all Jay's fault. Every bit of it, everything.
Exactly. And it sounds like we may be simulcast or a Reb Rider simulcasting for us. And it's going worldwide right now. So let me tell you something.
We're going worldwide.
We could be going worldwide right now, which would be great. We'll go worldwide.
I thought I felt the room spinning a little quicker. I said, whoa, we're on a ride now. We're going worldwide.
Yeah, it looks like we've got another caller here. We'll bring in. Let's see here. And it takes a few seconds.
I like to make it. I purposely don't fill those holes when Jay's doing that to put him on the. Oh, here she is. We love.
There she is. Hey, Maria, how are you doing? Looks like we got you muted there for some reason. There we go, Maria. How are you?
I'm hanging in here. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I was at the hospital again, but this time for my husband to get his knee looked at. Old cripple. He's
Well, Maria, first of all, blame Jay. Second of all, we're so lucky that you called in. We love you. For people that, the few out there that don't know, Maria is our behind the scenes person who just about does it all. And she's also, we love her so much. She's always right there for everybody. I kind of consider her the den mother. And we love her. She's so kind and does so much for us, Jay, behind the scenes. And she's right there for Randy and Melissa. Again, big family. We're so glad you called in, Maria.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad to wake up in time to do it because I literally just woke up.
Again, it was all meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And God, as for Randy and Melissa, do anything for the two of them. They're just, I talk to them like, I don't know, normally 20 times a day. I'm going through withdrawals. I'm not, I'm used to having Randy at my fingertips, and that ain't happening right now.
Yeah.
I
got a feeling you'll be back at it. He was revving the doctors and everything else. They're gonna want to get rid of him. He's gonna let it go.
Oh my God. Oh, I'm telling you, the stuff he did when he was in the hospital, they had to do something to him.
Mm-hmm.
They had to swab a special area. Randy style, I'm standing outside the room because obviously I don't need to witness that. And there's the nurse's desk is right across his room, and there's a whole line of them all at their station there working. And then there's this poor little girl waiting to go in the room to pull his labs. And all of a sudden, Randy starts making noises like he's having an orgasm.
Oh, yes.
No joke. It was like, you ever see the videos where you got the little kitties lined up and they're following the laser light on the wall?
Yeah.
All of them looked at me like I can control this.
Oh.
Looked up at me, and that poor little girl, I think she lost all the color in her body.
Maria, did Randy's roommate ask the nurse to give him what Randy was getting? That looks pretty good. Woo, go for a ride.
So even while he's in the middle of an event, he's got that, Randy being Randy.
Oh yes, yeah, definitely, 100%. But I mean, this kind of came on all of a sudden. I mean, obviously, we've run the gamut of emotions here, not being able to be there. But I don't think any of us saw this kind of thing coming. But I think maybe, years and years of the stress and anxiety that people go through, Maria, going through these different situations that I'm sure that he has, being in and out of court, being in and out of jail, being having your daughter taken right out of the car, and those kind of things, that has to be a major contributor in this, correct?
They did say that stress is a very huge contributing factor to heart attacks. And, you know, his stress levels were through the roof. And, you know, just goes to show you go to the doctors on a regular basis and keep yourself, you know, check yourself out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We all have a tendency to wait until something happens. Unfortunately, with Randy, nobody saw, I don't even think Randy saw it coming.
No.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, literally, I think we were on the show with him a day before this happened, and didn't look pale, didn't look, nothing was out of place.
No.
Well, Maria, you'll remember that right before he actually went to the hospital, as I mentioned before, all of us talk all week, and I hadn't caught up with Randy in reference to some show ideas that Jay and I had bounced off each other. So I said, hey, can I get a hold of you later? And then he sent the message. He said, yeah, that sounds great. And what was it, Maria? Maybe an hour or two later, he sends the picture of him in the hospital. I said, and Maria laughed. I said, Jesus, Randy, if you didn't want to talk, that's all you had to say. That worked out. You didn't have to go through all that.
Yeah, right. You want to avoid a phone call, you don't have to do that.
I mean, I gotta give him an A for devotion, for, you know, really following it.
Determination.
Through.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
yeah.
Oh
and
yeah.
then, you know, when in the picture, you know, and it's like, dude, really? You're having a heart attack and you're, but that just goes to show you who Randy is, you know?
Right.
Yeah, he's the toughest person that I've ever seen, where it's just go full board, and I think he can attack this same way.
I do give him a lot of credit though, guys, because on the DL2, and you guys know that there did come a point where even Randy, he was okay, I have to go now. Like, it's like he even recognized this is different. And, you know, it's, as you said, Jay, a lot of us, you know, we do wait. You know, I know it was like that. My stepdad, when he got cancer, it was the same sort of thing. And as I said to Melissa, there are a lot of, since things like this happen, you know, Randy's heart attack, there's nothing we can do about it right now. That's done. Yeah. So you have to try and look at what the positives are that come from it, because you can focus on the negative all day, but you can't change it. So what are the positives? Number one, he's still alive. As I said to Melissa, it's hard to see Randy in pain, but I'd much rather see him in pain and wincing than dead. And there are a lot of things that happen, different things, even with Jay and I off the air, as a lot of people don't know, Jay and I are cigarette smokers. And we both said, you know, we really need to quit. And Randy, it was an eye opener. So you've got to look at, and again, Melissa and Randy have more time. So as we all do in every relationship, whether it's romantic or whatever, cherish those great times. We say it a lot, but we really mean it. Things can change in an instant, Jay Money Moss. And this is a prime example. He could have he could have dropped dead that day, and that would have been it for Randy. And it's like that with all of us. So that's why I tell Jay and I, people, this is not a joke. When Jay and I got up, I say, I love you, brother. He says, I love you. Me and Mom do. I love you. It makes some people uncomfortable at times, but I don't care. I want people to know it. You know, I love you. And if I don't like the person, I'll say you're a piece of shit. But then I usually don't talk so much more after that. But for the most part, it's I love you. You know, and so yeah.
We even discussed that off the air. There was a certain person from New York that was referenced still while Randy was in the hospital.
The guy, again, A for
legendary. That's all there is to it. He's a legend.
Definitely. Oh, it was absolutely. I don't know. Some of the stories that Melissa was telling me while he was in there, I honestly, I called. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you call somebody and you're thinking, okay, you know, I'm going to be down on this one. I'm going to be kind of depressed on this one. And the next thing you know, telling you these stories, and you're like, what the hell? And you're laughing because what can you do?
It's so ridiculous. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I can say this much. You know, one of my rule of thumbs is, and I think this is why I get through such emotional situations like with Randy, why I can keep positive. I was raised to always think positive. The word I can't was not even allowed to be said in my house growing up. But my mom is always positive, a lot like Bud, always positive, positive, positive. And my rule of thumb is there's always a positive and a negative. You may not see it right away, but eventually it's going to show itself. And that's what gets me through, because I know when something like this is going on, I'm like, okay, God's going to show me something positive out of this. There's a reason for it.
Yeah.
Education,
Absolutely.
apparently, because I'm a smoker myself, and I just had a heart attack in August. Obviously, I need to quit.
Mhm.
So, it's education. It also teach you, everybody needs to take better care of themselves. It also sends a signal to, especially out in the movement, how stressful what everybody's doing. The stress really does do a number on your body.
And it doesn't need to. That's the biggest
Right.
thing is if
No.
we had a court system that was 50-50 custody is the starting point of these issues. Number one, if DSS did not get involved in a case unless there was imminent danger and harm and they weren't violating people's rights each and every single day, if we didn't have those kind of issues, and we could say, okay, when you go into court, we start at equal right here, and then let's let the weight of evidence pull to one side or the other on how we're going to make this decision. That's how they do these things. Usually, that's how they do these things, is beyond a reasonable doubt. All we're asking for is clear and convincing evidence. We're not asking for anything that's completely unusual here in a family court. We're asking for what we should normally have. And that is, hey, you are presumed innocent until proven guilty, right? Okay, well, it can't be that high of a standard, but we get that, hey, look, the evidence shows, hey, you may have placed your child in imminent danger or harm. We have to take the child away. Hey, that's okay. We understand that. We're not going to bitch and moan and complain about that. But if we have a parent who has dirty dishes, or if a child was playing on the playground and got a bruise, and we're complaining and we're saying that it might have been the parent, that's not a reason to take a child, put them in foster care, and then that foster care is imminent danger and harm a lot of the times. The state of Arizona, we've had a few cases where it come up where Randy was even a part of some of these cases where we've had a child who was placed into foster care over and over and over again. And each time the child was burned, molested, raped. And this one child has been burned, I think almost over 70% of her body. And she's been in 5 different foster cares. And they have not tried to do a replacement with the parents at all. Why would you do that? Or a family member? Why would you do that? I think that is wrong in America, where we have a situation where we should have parents that have rights. And this is the stress that we deal with as advocates each and every day, because we get ourselves personally invested in some of these cases. And sometimes that personal investment is great, but sometimes on the back end of that, it's the stress, it's the anxiety going through that.
Jay, sorry to walk on you. It does come at a price, because it's not, someone like Randy, I know someone like you, someone like me, there's times we have to back away because it's not just like, it's a very emotional thing.
Right.
And to win, quote unquote, you have to be. As Jay said, and he won't work with anyone if he feels like he's more passionate about their case than they are. He won't deal with them, and I understand that. And that's the whole key is to take that energy and try to spin it positive. It's very easy to get in ruts too when people that have been through this, the family court system on whatever level, it'll wear down the biggest and the baddest. Jay, we've said it before. And Maria, as Maria said, ironically enough, I was at a nice conversation with my mother-in-law yesterday. So hello, my mother-in-law, my wife's mom. She's a saint, Saint Phyllis. And we were talking about the waiting it out in terms of that's the hardest part. So it's ironic, Maria, but not, that you brought it up, because that's true. It's the hardest thing to see too, is in the moment, is that light at the end. And it's the hardest thing to do, is to convince people, if they just keep plugging, sometimes at their weakest moment, that it will get better. But you got to keep plugging, and then you'll start to see the little things that'll break through on your end. As the saying goes, Jay, them tables, they always turn.
Exactly.
And it's true. If you're doing right, inevitably, if you're lucky enough, you'll get to see it.
Right.
And sometimes that karma works in mysterious ways, Jay.
Yeah, and I think that also, I know Reb had put out some information, and I know that he called Randy a true patriot, and I know that he had mentioned that I was a true patriot as well. And here's what I would tell you, Reb, is we're just Americans. Honestly, we're just Americans. We're your neighbor, we're your friend, we're your coworker. Maybe some of us served in the military, some of us didn't, but each and every person is a patriot who loves where they live. They want it just to get better. They want our future generations not to have to go through what we've had to go through. That is what Randy is all about, through and through. And I can't say enough about the guy behind the scenes or in front of the scenes. I mean, he is a class act, and there's nobody else like Randy. So I think if and when the time does come when Randy absolutely does pass away, which hopefully is not anytime soon.
Oh, he'll be an old geezer by then.
I can see him being like the Mel Gibson in the movie, and where he cries freedom. Well, Randy's gonna be the one going, rev it up.
And Melissa will be trying to get away from him because they'll be chasing her around the farm.
But that is who Randy is, definitely. Maria, definitely thankful for you coming on. And any other words you want to get across here before we let you go?
No, just that everybody needs to take this as an eye-opener.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say a whole lot because I'll get emotional and start crying. So, well, Randy's had my back since the day I met him. I met him at a protest over my daughter's best friend's murder by a cop. And he's had my back from the moment he shook my hand.
Good.
And we've been friends ever since. And especially over the last year, we've gotten really close. And I've gotten even closer with Melissa. So this is just very emotional for me.
Yeah.
Those are my two besties right there. And I've told them straight up, I said, you can't go anywhere because I don't know what I would do without either one of them. I think it would crush me. It would literally crush me. So, but everybody, we just all need to step it up and take care of ourselves and take care of each other. And, they say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, I think in this situation with what we've got going on here, we all have to take care of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Absolutely.
If we don't, it could have been a lot worse for Randy, but he had great support. He still has great support. So that's important because there's advocates out there that don't have that support.
Yeah. And I mean, we hear the story that Randy tells a lot about Neil, where you think Randy for going into the court with him. That's the first time anyone's ever went to court with Neil Shelton, was Randy Davis. And that says a lot, number one, about Randy, but it says a lot about our movement on the negative side. Why are we not out there, each attending, each person out there? Find a friend that's close to you in your hometown and say, hey, look, you're going through this. I know you're going to court. Let me come court watch for you. Just show up and support each other. That's
and Jay, I know each state has some heavy hitting advocates, meaning people with their feet on the ground, people working hard. I know we're very blessed here in New Hampshire. We have Representative Kim Rice. We've got people like Ed Bryan's a good friend of mine. There's people all over the state. Former Senator Abbott, who's a wonderful man. And every state has people like this. So again, I encourage people to get on board with people like that, people that are making things happen. And if you don't think that there's things happening in your state, if you don't feel like it or not enough, then make them happen.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I think hit us the most, Jay, too, was you mentioned the suddenness and unexpectedness of it. You know, and again, even when you think you're living in the moment, sometimes life shows you that you're not totally. And I think also with the success of the show, it's going very well. It's catching on. People are really enjoying it. And we've really found a nice chemistry here, a really beautiful platform. So we were all very focused on that product, doing a genuine, authentic, even a better show than last week, even a better show than the week before, every week. So, and when you're burning yourself out like that, because some people know, but a lot don't, that some of these shows, we're up all night. I mean, there's times where Jay and I are up all night, going back and forth with either marketing things. I mean, so again, there's times where we all have to take care of ourselves. Randy is infamous. If you know him at all, he will work until he drops. He won't stop.
That's pretty much what he did. That's pretty much what he did.
Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse.
He's calling me about chest pains and then talking about, you know, his next show at the same time.
Yeah, that is definitely Randy. And I would say I'm the same way a lot of the times.
Yeah.
I mean, because of the fact, a lot of the times it's not even really preparing for a show necessarily, but preparing what it is point wise that you want to get across. Because how do I want to go in a dynamic of a show? Because I've said this before. I've said that, and we hear it all the time. Oh, the Title IV defunding, and you know, this funding and that funding. How do I get that across, but get it across in a different way that more people will adapt to? And it's a lot of that. And I think that's the kind of thing that keeps people who can't shut off their brain, like Randy and myself,
and me,
that and Bud, and that keeps us awake at night, because we're how do we do this? How do we get this in a different way that people can understand and latch onto? Because it's such a foreign topic to people to say, oh, did you know that your Social Security is being robbed from you each and every paycheck that you make? It's such a foreign thing for people to go, no, that's not happening. Yeah, it really is. And we have to adapt it in a way that is so flexible to people that they latch onto it and want to understand it and research it and buy into the fact that, hey, look, this is what's really happening. This is what's really going on in your world that you have no idea about. Is that your Social Security, it comes out of your paycheck each and every single week. A lot of that paycheck is going and it's being matched to the states up to 4 times, 5 times. If you're in Texas, it's up to 10 times the amount that they collect in a child support. So basically the state is profiting off of people's Social Security. And then you wonder why the elderly have to decide whether or not they're going to pay for their medication or pay for the rent. And you look at those things, it's crazy.
It's gotten so bad with, you know, with the elderly, they have to choose. It sounds cruel, but between their medication and whether or not they can afford to eat a can of cat food.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's gotten that bad. I mean, we've seen some, I've seen some in the checkout line, some elderly ladies that will buy cat food to eat for themselves because there's nothing else that's cheaper, honestly. Or you'll see an old lady buy a bag of potatoes. And
people don't understand that the way that Social Security is structured. Mm-hmm. You know, their dad may have retired and he's doing great. He may have made more money than, say, like my mother. My mother was on the lowest rung market with cleaning hotels and working dry cleaners. So when she paid her Social Security, she didn't put that much into it.
Right.
So when she got it every month, I'll tell you, she would not have been able to live off of it. If it wasn't for my stepdad, she would not have been able, we'd had to take her in.
Right. And the other thing is, it's not only Title IV defunding, like Randy has, explained to me over and over. I mean, it goes up Title 17, Title 19. I mean, you're going all the way up the ladder here where there's multiple times on top of multiple times on top of multiple times, the state gets paid, that the DSS gets paid, that CPS is getting paid, that the foster carers are getting paid, that CASA is getting paid. All of these people are getting paid. And who are they getting paid from? How are they getting paid, right? Oh, the government must have this magical fund up here somewhere that, you know, is coming across. Well, that magical fund, guess what? Is you. You, the taxpayer. Each and every single time that you receive a paycheck, there's a whole lot of taxes coming out of there. And what are they all for? You need to know this. The average American does not know where their taxes are going, does not know where their Social Security is going, doesn't know that this originally, when you're talking about the family court and child support system and DSS, doesn't know originally that this was a temporary thing. It was only meant to be temporary so that we could protect children. And then it went way overboard, just like every other government program does. And Randy has opened up my eyes even more to that, explaining to me things like, you know, the CPS situations, the DSS situations, and breaking those down to me, because I've only seen the family court side of it. I've only seen Title 4D and the Bradley Amendment and all of these other things. Me being able to see the other side of that equation that I didn't know about opens up my eyes to see a lot more. And what I see each and every single day would literally make you sick to your stomach.
And it does.
And yeah. And you got to think, you know, for 10 years, you know, almost, Randy's been going through this and knows all of this stuff, and only went through what he went through with Cheyenne because he was bringing out the fraud.
Yeah, he exposed the corruption and he paid dearly for it.
Mm-hmm. And that just tells you there. I mean, that's definitely somebody who the government made. Guess what? You made Randy. Now you got to deal with Randy.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and he's been a nightmare ever since for him.
Yes.
Well, Jay and Maria, I would be remiss, Jay, and I meant to bring this up at the beginning. My Boston Bruins are currently in Carolina facing the Carolina Hurricanes tonight.
Woo.
Oh, boy.
Only about a half an hour from where you're at this very moment, Maria. My Bruins are up 2 games to none. They're going to go up 3 games to none. They're kicking butt, I'm sure, as we speak. My assistant Mason, my scorekeeper Mason should get me an update. Wink, wink, Mason. My assistant give me an update. Wink. Give me a Bruins update. Give me a Bruins update. Go ahead. And he's going to bring us the score. But I said that's serendipitous too, because that's exactly where you guys are. So I can rib you and say we're going to keep kicking your butt and tell Randy and Melissa. But Melissa is a Bruins fan as well, and she likes the Canes too. So, you know, she's towing the line. But I think her heart, and ironically, Jay, I told Melissa I'd tell this one, how life all kind of comes together. Randy's surgeon went to Boston University. So give a shout out to BU. He's from, I believe he's from the Northampton area. And Melissa being from the Peabody area. Again, small world, because he went to BU, and some know that Melissa spent some time in Massachusetts and in a lot of different areas. So again, it all ties together. So
yeah, and I do want to address this situation though, because I do have somebody in here, Beth Young. Bring David Jose has it all broken down. Let me tell you something. Randy's not like David Jose, and neither do I. And I'll tell you why is because when you, and I'm not trying to berate anybody, but Randy is the kind of guy who will bring you out the truth, and so I'm about to. David Jose pistol whipped his daughter. Didn't just hit his stepdaughter, he pistol whipped her. So we're not going to go on that one with that situation. Tonight we're all about Randy Davis and trying to give him as much encouragement as possible, because going through this is very, very difficult. And I'll tell you, going through 5 bypasses, that's incredible. Incredible.
Well, I told Melissa too. I may have said it to Maria. I can't remember. I said Jay and I would have done the surgery a lot cheaper, I'm sure.
Melissa, not me.
Oh, yeah, I must have because Jay and I, we would research, would figure it out. It reminds me, you ever seen The Family Guy where Peter's getting operated on Jay and he says, okay, cut this one and this one. And then Peter passes out and he goes, oh, wait. The guy puts him back together. He goes, does that kill me? He's like, yeah. He goes, I was afraid of that. I was afraid that would kill me. Okay. That would be Jay and I. Randy, let us know. Is this one killed you? Jay, Randy, did that kill you? Yeah. Oh, okay, Jay, don't do that again.
I don't think he wants us doing surgery. You know, we might replace his heart with a pig heart, and then the rest of his life we go around going, "You smell bacon?"
I would do something. We would have to do something. And again, if I was closer, I'd be dazzle him. When he woke up, he would be so pretty. He would be so pretty. I would want to date him because I would doll him up.
Awesome. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and we'll let you go, Maria, and definitely we'll check back in with you because I'm sure there'll be more information coming out on Randy soon. And once he gets out of the hospital, maybe it might be a live feed, a Rev It Up feed coming out.
Yeah, I'll be the one bringing him home from the hospital, so maybe we'll rev it up. You know.
Absolutely. And Maria, if you can get a good snap of Randy's ass in that robe at some hospital, please do that. We would love to see him in his bare ass. Thank you, Maria, for taking it. We love you.
Yeah, definitely. Tell him it, Randy. You got to tie it in the back.
Right. Yeah. Tie it in the.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks, guys. Love you.
Love you too. Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and remove her. All right. And I know that I got a message here that I'm going to have to try and play, which is it's a little bit different here, but I know that Chris was going to be on the road here, so I'm going to try and see if I can get this to come up and play right.
That's right, yes. And Chris Odom, for people that don't know Chris. Well,
yeah. And let's see here. I think I got it queued up. Let's give it a try.
You mute this.
Yeah.
Hey, Randy, this is Chris Odom. I just wanted to throw a shout out to you to tell you how much we love you and I miss you so much. Internet's nothing like it is when you're around. You just light up the world and the sparkle and the spirit in you. And I just want you to know we miss you and can't wait to have you back. And my prayers are going out to you. Rev it up.
Awesome there. So we got that amazing message there for Chris. I know that she's on the road right now, so she's going in and out of things. So she sent me that message earlier so we can play it. Hopefully that came through right, didn't it?
It came through great, Jay. That's how we roll, baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Chris is another one. We love Chris. From the start of when we're all up, we're all in there. Chris is one. Again, we're lucky to have all of our staff, but Chris is one. Jay went. Again, when we conceptualized all of this, we never really anticipated all this. And as it got bigger, Chris was someone we always, and I don't even mean her into like that we even knew it was going to be her at this point. But what my point to all this is she came in and she's someone you can trust who will she fights for people. She gets the good stories, the ones that are legitimate. She works hard. And what she'll do is bring Jay and I and Randy and Neil, and she'll say, here's what I have. And we're always blown away because everything's usually really tight. Everything's very, even preliminarily with what she has to do. My point is it makes it a lot easier to vet people and we have a trust in her because she's that good. She's an asset. We're lucky to have her as we are the staff. She makes us look good. She works tirelessly behind the scenes and she loves Randy and we love her and she loves us. And that's why it works, Jay.
Yeah, 100%. And I know that I had already had preliminary conversations with Yaya McLean. Yaya will probably be helping us fill in here for a little while. And Yaya is definitely an amazing person. Done films, he's done boxing. The man has done just about everything. And having him on board is an amazing honor for us. And we're going to have that even revved up here pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, and we joke a lot, and he has too. You guys need a black guy, and we joke all about White Boy Neil and all that. But in all seriousness, he brings a perspective and he brings a viewpoint that we can't, just like we all have certain areas that we can't. It's, you know, Jake, I can't bring Jay's perspective. He can't bring mine. I can't bring Yaya's, honestly, as being a black man having to deal with this. I can't bring people, like he can bring those things that other people can relate. We all feel each other. So, and Yaya, as Jay mentioned, is amazing. He's done it all. His life is like a movie. He's right up our alley of what we'd like to be. He's very honest. He's tough. He's a man. He's a man, and he's proud of it. He's proud of his masculinity, as I am. I don't, you know, that's why he fits perfectly. Because again, someone like Yaya, when you bring him on, you know what you're getting, and you don't have drama, because we don't do drama. I don't do it. He doesn't do it. None of us do it. If there's an issue, what's that old Vanilla Ice? If there was a problem, you all solve it. We solve it by going right to each other and saying, is there an issue? That's how we keep it flowing. And Yaya brings that professionalism, that background. He's done it all. I'm talking radio, sports, everything. And he brings a fearless perspective and an educated one. And not just educated, he's educated himself, but he's also very street smart.
Yep.
And that's an amazingly awesome blend, because he truly is an unstoppable champ. And we're really lucky even to have him in the future coming on with us. He's a great man and honored.
Exactly, 100%. And I do have the login lines open if anyone else would like to go ahead and log in on the Zoom. We can definitely try and get you on. I know that Melissa has this phone right now right next to Randy Davis's ear. So you can definitely send out your wishes to him right here on the Zoom. If you go to zoom.us / is it backslash or slash? J/211, and this is the login, 211-836-259, and I'll put it in the chat there as well here, so you guys can log in. And all you have to do is click on the link. There's a short little build your own kind of Zoom that's just a free account, and you can definitely get on here and speak with us and send your well wishes out there to Randy. I'm sure that he would love to hear that from you right
Jay.
now.
And on a side note, my assistant Mason let me know that the score is 0-0 for the people interested. Bruins versus Carolina out there in Carolina. So go Bruins. What'd you say? The Bruins are leading 0-0?
Bruins are leading 0-0.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I think that there's going to be some great things coming up for us as well, and I just getting Randy back on his feet and getting out there more and more. I've already gotten a message from Melissa that they absolutely plan on getting him ready and getting him healthy, because they want to be in Normal, Illinois come a year from now. Because what do we plan on doing a year from now is we plan on having a big, huge shindig in Normal, Illinois, meaning we're going to rent out the hotel rooms, meaning we're going to rent out the Normal Theater, which if it's the iconic where it says Far From Normal, that movie theater, the iconic logo of the Far From Normal radio show, that is actually just normally just says Normal Theater. So we've added that on ourselves, but the Normal Theater, we fully plan on renting out the Normal Theater so that we can have a huge rally at the Normal Theater, and we want to pack it. We want to make it standing room only in there. And we're going to educate people by bringing in every single person that we possibly can who has been on our show in the past.
Absolutely. First off, Jay, update, Bruins lead 1-0. I was updated by my assistant, so there you go. Second of all, Jay, the funny thing is we had spoken about this in jest when we started the show. People don't know, we were joking with each other, like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if someday and then Jay's made contact over there, and that's going to happen. We're going to broadcast. Now, this was a pipe dream, and now it's really happening, and it's going to be a blast. As Jay said, it was conceptualized, and we're not completed with all the ideas. But as Jay said, that's what it's going to, the crux of it. It's going to be educational. Right. We're going to do, we have a lot of different ideas. And when we do it, we're going to do it right. Exactly. We're going to go all in. And again, it's going to be empowering.
All in 100%. And I'll tell you, the reason behind the Normal, Illinois idea is not necessarily just because the Far From Normal radio show is in Normal, Illinois, and that's where it's based. That's not where the idea came from. The idea came from, let's try and find a closer central part of the United States where we can bring people to. And Washington, D.C. always seemed to be on the East Coast, which was a lot of the times impossible for our West Coast people to be to. They could not get all the way across country because it's a highly expensive trip a lot of the times. And when you're going through a divorce, or you're going through a DSS situation, CPS, you don't have a whole lot of money. So the deal was to try and find something centrally located within the United States in which we can get more and more people to. We can educate people and we can train people and we can have them go out free of charge. We're not charging anybody anything except for the hotel room right now that we would think of, unless we charge for a renting out the theater kind of deal. But right now the deal is, let's get some people to a central location, be well trained on anything from parental alienation, DSS situations, family court situations. What do we do? What are some of the things that we should look for? What's a strategy? How to build a strategy around your case? Those kind of things, all conceptualized by Randy Davis. So those are all things that we're putting together a website here very shortly as well. So they're like 5-minute videos where you can go out there and you can, if you want to find out about a parental plan, you go out there and you look at it, you see the video, you can learn what a parental plan is. Not legal advice, just person-to-person advice. We're not giving legal advice. That's very important. But I think that it's very, very important out there that people understand what's going on in their case. Where are you in your case? And those kind of things that we've talked about on The Watchman are exactly the kind of things that we want to have on the website. It's the same kind of things that we want to have in these meetings that we want to have out there for you. And also we want to throw a little entertainment in there as well. I mean, who knows? You could have an MJ Rhodes show up and play a few songs. You know, we could do some things like that. So I mean, it's quite possible.
John Schneider, we'll get
John Schneider. Yeah, you never know. So back on. I mean, these are all concepts that we're trying to do because we feel like if you are, here's the thing about it. People pay attention to things that entertain them. People don't pay attention to things that don't entertain them. And the only example that I can say is, if you, obviously a lot of you went to high school, right? So if you were in high school and you had a boring teacher, you hated the class, right? Okay, but if you had a teacher who was very interesting on a topic, you really wanted to get involved. You really wanted to learn that subject because you were involved, you were entertained for just a minute. Entertainment means to hold one's attention for a certain period of time. So that's what we try and do a lot on the Far From Normal radio show as well, is to bring entertainers in to entertain you so we can hold your attention. That is a lot of what we do on here. Right. So great stuff.
Yeah, I had to also, because I was watching Seinfeld earlier, Jan, The Apartment came up, and of course our friend Patty Thompson is in that episode, and I thought of her. I haven't spoken one-on-one with Patty in a little while, and I have to catch up with her. She's a wonderful person. And in saying that, Jay, and you saying what you were saying, I have people a lot of times that will watch the show, and I know you have after. People are inspired by it, and they'll ask, what do you think of, even if we don't know them, what do you think about me starting a show? I say I encourage it because it takes all kinds. We do the show here along with the other things we do. You have Mark Ludwig, who works legislatively. You have people like Chad Loudermilk, who work on that angle. Then you have people like, fortunate enough here in New Hampshire, Deb Childs, who does I believe it's Time to Put Kids First. I may be wrong on a little bit of the title, but I believe that's what it is. She works more toward, obviously the child aspect, protection of children, education. my point is there are a lot of different facets to this movement. So I always encourage people, and if you think there's a spot or an angle that isn't being covered, or if you, whatever your passion is, I encourage people to do it, no matter what it is. Jump. When in doubt, jump. So again, you can never have too much of these certain things of education. And again, I encourage everybody to go out there and find your talent, find your niche, find what makes you happy, find your voice. You know, become a voice for the voiceless. That's
Absolutely.
the most empowering, wonderful thing that you can be, believe me.
Absolutely. And I think there, excuse me, again, for those who are maybe tuning in a little bit late, we wanted to let you know, yes, Randy is off this evening because Randy did experience a heart attack, a mild heart attack. I believe it was Wednesday, and he is in the hospital. He is doing well, so we just wanted to come on. He had 5 bypasses, so that which I don't think I've ever heard of that, but maybe I'm wrong. But that's a lot.
No, I said that to Allie too, and to my mother-in-law. I'll tell you, I still think the whole thing is a BS ruse, so he doesn't have to talk to me on the phone. I mean, I think this is a little bit crazy, Randy, above and beyond. I mean, you don't have to do all this. I think he's even closing his eyes in there, pretending to sleep. He's one of those where, like a kid, where they open one eye to see if anyone's looking. I think that's right. Is Bud gone yet? Is he still? He still wants to talk to me? Well, let me know when he talks to somebody else. I'll get out.
Yeah, well, we are definitely taking calls this evening, log-in calls. If you'd like to go ahead and log in and send your well wishes to Randy Davis, please definitely log in. The login meeting number on Zoom is 211-836-2559. We use a program called Zoom. And the interesting thing about the Zoom is we've had a lot of people say, oh, well, you got a PayPal, blah, 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 you're doing this with it. No, actually, our PayPal actually is a direct line. It's actually linked direct to our Zoom. So if you contribute to the services that we do each and every single week, all of those contributions come directly out of the PayPal, and nothing ever gets touched. It gets taken directly in that PayPal.
Yeah, besides, it's linked to that in the China buffet in Illinois. We can funnel our money through the Chinese restaurants and get as much as we want to because we always need that. We always fried rice while working on the show. No, in jest, yes.
Chicken fried dog. So
absolutely, absolutely. So that's where that is. Yeah, and we thank everybody for their patronage and for people out there that have supported us and continue to. Again, it's our pleasure. And again, this was a great opportunity, and there was never a doubt with Jay and I, besides last week. That was a necessity to take that off when all that went down. But there was never, with Jay and I, we didn't have to go to each other and say, hey, want to do one this week? It was like, hey, dude, we're going to kick ass this week. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to do it for Randy. And we're going to do it for Randy. Yep.
Definitely, because I think, you know, and Bud and I have discussed this beforehand, because we had somebody say, oh, are you guys gonna, since Randy's down, are you guys gonna do a show? And my response is, hell yeah, we're doing a show. And you know why? Because the show goes on regardless. If Jay Moss dies tomorrow, then I fully expect Bud Vino to grab the Zoom and go and pick up another co-host and roll. You know?
Yeah, and Jay and I have had that conversation. I died, Jay rolls with this, he's already gets that Parents United, everything rolls. We have it seamless. So he knows. He rolls everything and vice versa. This is one of those things, again, none of us make or break this. And again, it's a collective effort. And again, the people out there that watch, Jay and I did the show. Some people know, some don't. We did it for quite a while. That's just the two of us. And then we had different hosts. We were very fortunate. Jesse Weiner for over a year put in a lot of effort, and then it just grew organically. And now with Randy and Neil, it's come together. But all those parts have to work together to make that end result that works.
Right.
And so we all have a talent. And for the people out there too that might not think, I hear it a lot because it's easy to start getting down on yourself and think when you're told, or you start getting it in your head that you're not worth it. You will start to really believe it. So you've got to get out of that, whether it's toxic relationships, whether it's your own toxic mindset. There's sometimes you have to get up and get out of your own environment, get out of your own way, try to do something different, you know.
You got the
And
U2
again-
song in there. Get out of your own way. There you go.
Yeah, and there you go, Jay. Nice correlation. And we're lucky again. And I bring this up too because your crew has a lot to do with how you roll and how you feel. Number one, again, I bring up my FFN crew. It is an amazing, empowering group. We're real with each other, but we don't let each other go. We can sense. Jay's been around me long enough, and vice versa. He knows when I'm mad, vice versa. He knows when to leave me alone for an hour, vice versa. And he has that respect for me, and vice versa. Again, I bring up John Mondu. John, every show, it's not just bullshit. He encourages me. I know with John what I'm going to get in honesty, not just smoke up my ass. If he doesn't agree with me, I'm going to know it first. So my point is, surround yourself with people where you, again, the saying goes, if you have to wonder where you stand with people all the time, it may be time to stop standing and start walking. And that's the truth. If you always have to wonder, you don't want to be in it. And with this crew and people like Mondu, I bring up a lot, none of us wonder. I certainly don't, Jay.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of people out there too that quite frankly, there's some that, and I'll say this, there's some that'll just shut off the Far From Normal radio show just because it's the Far From Normal radio show and Jay Moss is the host, or maybe it's Bud Vino, or maybe it's yeah, and that's why we're going to bring you a variety of different shows too. And honestly, our hopes is to talk to some certain people. If their show happens to be one that we feel that we can affiliate with, then we will affiliate with them and fully support them and get them going on just on a different night than we're on. It may, maybe, hey, look, they got a show and we're on Tuesdays too. We'll throw them on Wednesday night and we'll fully support them. That's the whole thing is, and it could be on anything. It could be, hey, this is particular DSS situations, or this particular this, that, and the other. And we'll do that. But the thing is you got to cooperate as a crew, and you all have to be with the same mindset, the same goal, the same purpose. And honestly, if you all want to know, and I hope you record this, and I hope you play this all over the air, which I know we're being simulcast at this particular time. The goal of the movement for parental rights is to no longer be a movement. Why? Because that means children are coming home. That means people are being treated with equal rights. That means we've got 50-50 bills in place, that's the starting point. Doesn't mean that that's the ending point all the time, but that means this is the starting point. Okay, so the goal of the movement is to no longer be a movement. It doesn't have to be anymore. If we all just paid attention and looked at the future of our children. And that's why we have that name. It's the future of our children's video network is, again, we want our children to have a better future than what we have had to experience with the family courts, DSS, with CPS, all these other acronyms that they want to throw out there. It's a new one for each and every state. And quite honestly, the reason that they do that is because that they know that they lie in court. They know that they steal these children. They know that they're doing things not by the book. And so if one of them gets sued, not all of them get sued. That's why they have different acronyms for different states. It wouldn't be a whole 50 states kind of thing because they have a different acronym. And that's being honest, because we have lawyers who have sued CPS for lying in court. And Sean McMillan is a major example of that, who has done that. And I think it's going to start coming very, very shortly that we're going to possibly see some lawsuits against lawyers, judges for doing some of the things and stepping outside of their jurisdictional bounds to make these decisions. One of those cases, I'm still saying this, one of those cases may be Jesse Weiner's case.
Absolutely.
Very well could be.
That's what I was thinking of. And I'm very lucky. I had a nice conversation with Jesse after she got out of jail, and I was, as I told her privately, Jess was so happy, kid, and was filling her in on the support she had. from certain individuals that was amazing to see.
Mhm.
In this situation, as I told Jess, first of all, we have to, again, I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Melissa Isaac and her team for all the work. And as Jesse said privately, and I'm not ashamed to say, and people know, if it weren't for Melissa, there's a pretty good possibility that Jesse would, and I'm quite sure she would still be sitting there.
Yeah.
So again, Melissa Isaac, you're definitely what we love you. You're an angel on earth. And Jesse never should have been there. And obviously, the Court of Appeals agreed with that. And I think, in terms of my personal opinions, I told my wife, and I told Jesse, I would go up civilly. I think, and again, this is going to be up to her team and what she decides personally. But I think the Court of Appeals has set Jess up nicely for a civil lawsuit, and I think she should go all in, as I told her privately. And that's going to be a decision. Again, there's more to it, and I know there's even more than I even know.
Yeah.
All this.
Yeah, and I think that there's a basic concept out there that someone has proved this whole notion in saying you cannot sue a judge, and I want to say that that's absolutely asinine and completely false. And the reason that I want to say that is I want to say Rankin versus Howard, Stump versus Sparkman, that one right there. That tells you right there that if a judge steps out of their jurisdiction, they can be sued, meaning that they went far above and beyond any possibility of just ruling on the case, but they went out and made it a point to step out of what their capacity was as a judge to punish someone else. And that would be what this particular instance is, someone who's not even a party to the case. Yeah.
Without question. And I won't get into the wording of what we saw, but I'll tell you again, it's encouraging for Jesse in terms of whatever she decides to do again. And they should be consequent. I mean, Jesse was in jail. She lost everything. I mean, her job, her reputation. I mean, and again, they ruled she should have never been in there. So again, someone has to be consequenced, and I would fully expect, that judge or I would say, and the state of Florida. Again, I'm not an attorney, and she's got better people than me looking at that. But I tell you what, if someone deserves it, this is a situation of a judge stepping way out of bounds. So legally,
and I think that to kind of explain this to the people who don't necessarily know the case and may not know Jessie Weiner and her situation, her husband, Tim, is a veteran. Okay. And regardless of his past or whatever, whatever it may be, he's a veteran. Basically, they were taking child support from his VA disability and paying child support from that. And that happens so much. It's happening in my case as well. But I'll tell you, the issue here is that 38 USC 511 basically states that the Department of Veterans Affairs makes all decisions in matters of veterans disability benefits. No other court can review or deny. So basically what the VA is saying is the Secretary of the Department of Veterans Affairs makes all decisions in these matters. That means apportionment process as well, meaning that your ex and your children you would receive, if you don't have custody, they would receive part of your benefits if the VA makes that decision to make sure that they have that. If it causes an undue hardship to the veteran, they may come back and say child support should be set at 0. Okay. The problem that we're having is the state courts are bypassing the federal law by saying, well, we can't necessarily take from your VA check. We can't garnish that check. But what we can do is we can issue a child support amount and we can take it from your bank account. That basically is bypassing federal law. And that was the whole argument behind a lot of Jessie's case and why she thought it was wrong. And so when she brought out some further information on that case, even though she wasn't privy to, or she wasn't a party to the case, she was held responsible and thrown in court by putting that information out. And that's completely overstepping bounds.
Well, it is, because as we talked about both publicly and privately, Jay, where does that end? I mean, that's why that's not allowed. That's precisely why it's not allowed, because you'd have people just all over the place. Judges, there's got to be a line. Again, this was, for people that don't know, again, as Jay had mentioned, Jessie is not part of this case in terms of she is Tim's wife now. She is not a part of, in terms of this case. This was way overreaching, and I know what Jessie, it was in reference to a Facebook post. And I can tell you, again, without even going into it, irrespective of all that, this was way too far of a reach. And again, she spent even a minute was too long for her to be in there. And again, I'm so thankful.
Yeah, and that is though why we tell you folks, and we've said this for years, don't post anything on Facebook, because it can come back to bite you. And that's why we've said it, and we've been very open and honest about it, because we've seen this kind of thing happen before in the overreach. So we didn't want that necessarily happen, but it honestly, I think that I would have to say that I would think that Jessie had an idea of what she was doing. I would have to say.
I gotta say she's pretty courageous.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, because, and again, I can't say what her mindset was, and we haven't discussed that alone. It's irrelevant. But what my point is, she knew certain things were a possibility, and she went with it. Again, the judge, remember, judges are human too. So their own insecurities can get to them too, and their power trips. And this was obviously, there's no way, and again, I'm not an attorney, I'm not just a civil attorney, but you can't tell me this judge didn't know she was doing this completely illegally.
I think it came from a personal level. It came from the insecurities that she had, or he had, in throwing her in jail, was because it didn't like being criticized. Okay, well,
I'll show you,
Well, guess what? NBA players are criticized. If I work a job, my boss criticizes me and my coworkers. Get used to it.
Yeah, and it shows, again, whoever, again, the judge found out pretty quickly just did this. So it was either someone reporting the judge or the judge obsessing. Again, I'd have a field day. That's why I told Jess, I said, man, I hope you pursue this civilly. And I'm not going to speak because I can't speak for Jessie. And she hasn't, you know, she's got a lot. She's just getting home. I remember she's trying to get reacclimated and trying to start a normal life again, and trying to start to get over this trauma, because again, this was not expected. Her, you know, what happened to her. So again, we wish Jess the best. And again, what Jessie did is she went against that grain. She said, nope, here's what's wrong. Here's what's right. I don't care. I'm going to go with right. So again, Jay's warning is a very valid one, because he's saying to protect yourself, because these sort of things can happen, as we plainly see.
And if you don't have the money, or you don't have a writ of habeas corpus written, I would suggest you not post on Facebook. That's just my my thought.
The reality is, if you don't have a lot of pull, you shouldn't post certain things, because you know you just want to protect yourself. You know, no matter what, you just want to be smart. You don't want to do things to antagonize. I always say too, like, whenever I'm going to do something, I try and look within myself. It's okay. Am I doing this from a position of anger? Am I mad? So I'm doing this for this reason, whether it's a post, whatever it is. Am I doing it from a genuine place of benevolence? Or am I trying to prove something, whatever it is? And I go with that purity. If it's not pure, and I can recognize within myself, I think I'm doing it out of this, or any of those egoic traits, jealousy, any of that sort of thing, I don't do it, because it's not pure. And that's where you start to run into problems. It seems like a small thing, but it isn't. It gets easier and easier to do things that aren't authentic when you allow yourself to start to become not as authentic as you should be. For me personally, it takes away that edge that I have, that purity, that fearlessness in what I do, because I don't worry about anything. And the second you start to do that and go with those egoic traits and let those overtake you, that's what you'll end up with, a pile of emotions, nothing much more.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people who And we say this all the time, but I think there's a lot of people that are in the movement who come into this movement, and I think that you're a pile of emotions, and I don't think that you know exactly what to do, where to turn, but you're looking for something, and I see a lot of people looking in the wrong places. And we've said that particular person's name and a couple other names that have gone along with those same people. There is no such thing as sovereign citizenship. We've we've exhausted that means in several shows showing that over and over and over again. We've exhausted those means. We've exhausted the means that there are certain particular people that will, you may be helping your own self in a case, and those people try and jump in and get involved and claim the glory for those cases. Be very mindful of those. If you don't need an advocate or don't want an advocate, tell them to get lost. Honestly, look, when you are out here, in your case, if it does or doesn't become public or whatever it may be, and an advocate contacts you, you have every right and every ability to pick your own advocate. If you do not feel that you want someone involved in your case, say, hey, look, I don't want you involved. I don't prefer to have you. I'm going with somebody else. Don't be shy about that. Honestly, if you don't feel comfortable with Jay Moss on your case, I don't want to be on your case if you don't feel comfortable with me helping you. Randy doesn't either. Bud doesn't either. None of us do. But the thing is, if you have somebody who you've told you don't want to be involved, and they go out there and they post that they're involved in it, and they've got a victory because you brought your child home and you did it all, that is insane. That is insane, right. And we've seen it.
I will say this, we've equated this before. If you come to me or you want to be a boxer, you want to get trained, right? I'm gonna help you to train. That's gonna take a while. I'm not gonna say, okay, well, take this pill and you'll be able to defeat anyone overnight. Why don't I do that? Because it's not realistic. To win the belt, I'm gonna be realistic with you. And again, this again is an analogy, but it's a good one, because just like a heavyweight fight, you got to train mentally and physically. Mentally, just as much. You've got to be in the perfect fighting condition, quote unquote, when you are dealing with court situations. So my point to that is there's no quick fix. There's no, I'm going to do this and this is going to be the overnight miracle. If anybody is offering you an overnight miracle or a one phone call turnaround, they're lying to you. Yeah. And the problem in the movement is we have a lot of desperate people that are loving and they're hurting, and they want it over as quick as possible. Sometimes you got to go through the battle. Again, I say to you, and we've seen the memes, stop trying to avoid it, the goddamn struggle. That's where character is built. Face the struggle, embrace it, brag about it when you conquer it. So when you win that belt, you can say, yeah, I ate dirt. I got up. I trained harder than the next guy. When I went in there, I was undefeatable, and I knocked him out, and I've got that belt. And that's the way you've got to be mentally when you go into this sort of thing with court. We mentioned earlier, taking care of yourself.
Yeah. I think it's a good analogy. I think it is, Bud. I think you're right. I think it's a great analogy. It's like a boxer. You know, a boxer gets into a ring, and he's in a ring for what, 2 minutes and 30 seconds?
Yeah, well,
that means you got to train for 2,300 hours for those 23 minutes. That means behind the scenes, you better keep your nose in the books and learning about law and learning about the rules of civil procedure, learning about all of these things before you spend 30 minutes in a courtroom. Yeah, train your brain for 300,000 hours.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what we're talking about here.
Behind the scenes, even during my custody battle before I won, it was 3 a.m. because my whole thing, and Jay knew, I'm going to be the better fighter. I'm going to be better trained. While I know they're sleeping, I'm training. I'm not going, I'm going to go to bed and hopefully someone else will do it. Or in the morning, I'm going to get an email where there's this miracle. You got to train for the fight. There's no easy way around. You gotta go through the pain. And when you go through the pain, again, the victory is that much sweeter, folks. The pain, just have that faith that this pain I say it's biblical, Jay. We said, because again, if you look at it that way, this pain I have to go through. If it's forced on us, embrace it and say, I'm going to come out stronger. Not everybody can even live through this. And not only am I going to live through it, but I'm going to thrive. And beyond thrive, I'm going to help others.
Yep.
I'm going to empower others. So the goal for of the Far From Normal radio show, before we go to shout outs, I can't believe it, Jay. The goal of the Far From Normal radio show has always been, continues to be, and has never been about Jay Moss and Bud Vito. The goal of the show is to get it to the point where we can go out of business, to where we win this quote unquote war, where children are coming home. And again, unfortunately, that'll probably never be the case overall. So, but that's the goal, to empower. So we are one giant fireball of energy, of benevolent energy, destroying this corruption and evil, Jay.
Yeah, absolutely 100% right. Because, I mean, in this, look, when you come through this, there are two ways that you come through: family court or DSS. There's only two. You only have two choices. Either you become a victim or you become an advocate. Advocates help other advocates, help other people who help other people who help other people. And pretty soon, before you know it, we're all educated in exactly what is going on. But the interesting thing and the biggest advice I would give anyone just coming into the movement right now is be slow to talk and quick to listen. Be slow to talk and quick to listen, because there's a lot of good educated people who have been in this and have filtered through years and years and years. The guys like Kerry Speedman, the guys like Randy Davis, the guys like Neil Shelton's, the Brian Kenters even. Those people who have been through it and they've tried this, that didn't work. Why would you try the same thing that they just tried and it didn't work? You know, that's repetitive. That's repeating the same thing over and over again, which is what the definition of insanity.
Exactly, Jay. You know, it's people like, as you mentioned, the elder statesman Ed Welch was somebody from years ago that I met right away. Mike Whitney, Father's Rights Movement, Eastern region. Tom Fiddler, people like that have been there. And Jay brought up that good point. It's really easy, especially when you're emotional, to not listen. But if you step back and really take it all in, be a sponge. You know, and listen to the people. They say, and again, the analogy with the show, and when I was managing, a good manager is someone, a bad manager is someone who hires people they're not threatened by. A good manager is someone who hires people that they think can take their job. And that's what I used to do. So my point is, our job here is to make it so when people are empowered like we are, to make people leaders. You know, it's not to try and, again, manage other people. We want people, everyone's on our level. We all are in this together, and we're all going to go someday. We came from this earth and in the dirt, and someday we're all going to be back there. And so while we're on this earth, don't even use the word regret. Live. Again, Randy's a good example, and it brought it in perspective for all of us. You all could be gone tomorrow. What are you waiting for?
Exactly.
You might not get it. What are you waiting for? If you're going to go out your way, not with regrets, Jay.
Absolutely, 100%. We got the last 10 minutes here, so we're going to go right into the shout outs for this evening, brother. Go on.
Well, I guess we're going to go to me first.
Yep.
We could go to Randy and we could just sit here for 2 minutes and pretend and freak everybody out and then act like we're reacting to him. So anyway, first of all, again, Yo-Yo, Jay, my brother from another mother, Money Moss, thank you. May 14th, 2019. Coming up on 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And I want to thank everybody. We had some people call in. Dawn, I want to thank. We have Maria, Cher. Thank you guys so much, everybody out there. And to our brother Neil, and obviously our brother Randy Davis. From me to you, Randy, I love you, brother. I'm going to be calling you and ribbing you. And I'm hoping they gave you some meds that allowed you to like wet yourself, or I can hear some more stories so I can rib you even further on the air and then blame it all on Jay. So we love you guys. Love to Melissa. Love to everybody out there. Again, to my biggest, bestest buddy, Carter, I love you. To my littlest, bestest assistant, Mason, I love you. To my wife, I said, baby, I'm going to flirt with you tonight. I'm going to give her the eye. Again, keep those relationships spicy. Again, if you're married, keep dating. Keep going out on dates with your girlfriend even after you marry her. Embrace and harness those relationships make them stronger. Everybody out there, thank you so much. Stay strong. It ain't over till you say it's over. My man, J Money Moss. And I ain't heard no.
Holy, it's the wolf there, brother. Woo! Nice cut off there. And let me see. Thank you to Sheila Garris, Maria, definitely for calling in and all that she does behind the scenes, and Don Collins, I believe it is, who called in. And we'll be visiting Randy here very, very shortly. So big shout out to those people. Also big shout out to all of our FFN crew behind the scenes. You know, we've got Maria, we've got Chris, we've got Jackie, we've got, I mean, Cheyenne. It goes on and on and on. And we've got several different people here behind the scenes, soon to be here on board with us. Yaya McLean, Neil Shelton, all those people also who have paved the path for us. Look, I mean, we may be one of the originators of doing video broadcasts on Facebook. But this show was on radio for a year and a half almost before we were even on video. So we want to thank those who have paved the path for us on radio as well. Those people who are out there and doing what needs to be done to get the information out there to you. Reb Ryder doing a great job out there, and what he does for the Patriot Network and all they do out there, and those patriots out there that are doing all of their stuff, and we fully support you. We love you, brother, and you are a true patriot as well. I think each and every one of us has a true patriot inside of us, and it really comes down to looking at a situation and saying, I know this might cost me. I know this might cost me people watching the show, and it might cost me people listening in or tuning in, but I'm going to do the right thing and say the right thing. And yep, and then that's what it's all about here. Is true patriotism means that you do the right thing no matter what it takes, and you support your country, and you support your president. You may not like your president. I get it. I understand it. You might not like the policies. You might not like the things they have, but he's still your president. You just deal with it, and you move on. I didn't like Obama, but Obama was in office. Hey, so he's my president at the time. Trump is the president now. I support him. That's just the way it is. If Hillary was to become president, even though I wouldn't like it at all, I'd still support her. You know, it is what it is. That's just how things work in this country, is that you support the people that are in power because you know that they would need that support and that love and that guidance. That support comes better. Good things happen to those who do support the right people in power. And those bad things happen when you have a lot of people who are all over them and negative and abusive with them on a consistent basis. So there's been so much division in this country, and I don't think there even needs to be. Look, it just needs to be is what needs to happen in this country is this. We need to understand that our future all rides on how we treat our children and what we do for our children today, because tomorrow they're the ones who are going to be wiping our asses while we're sitting in a nursing home. Do you really want to piss off the future generations, or do you really want to take care of them today so they'll take care of you tomorrow? That's just an option here, folks. It's just something for you to think about. But big shout outs to the whole FFN crew. Big shout outs to all of those who watched tonight. We love you. We appreciate you. We care about you. I know there are so many here probably that may or may not be watching, or may not be tuning in, or whatever, maybe. And you'll watch later. I get that. I understand that. Not a whole lot of shares tonight either, but that's fine. The situation here is we're not even going to worry about numbers anymore. Honestly, what we're going to worry about is changing lives, changing attitudes, changing behaviors. And that's what we're doing out here. So we love you guys so much. As we say each and every single week in signing off, you are important, you are loved, and you are cared about. God bless. Good night.
Good night, folks. Thank you.
concrete trees, got you praying on your knees. In the face of danger we're all brave, till the gun goes bang, bang, bang. It's a cruel, cruel world, no mercy left, yeah, it's a cruel, cruel world. It'll break your heart and burn you down, down, down. Don't ever doubt that it's a cruel, cruel world. Oh, it's a cruel, cruel world. Smoke will turn your soul to black if you let it in. So close the door, confess your sins. Oh, when I was younger, it was all roses. Now they're dead and gone away. It's a cruel, cruel world, no mercy left, yeah, it's a cruel, cruel world. It'll break your heart and burn you down, down, down. Don't ever doubt that it's a cruel, cruel world. Oh, it's a cruel, cruel world. Oh, can you help me? Oh, can you help me out? Don't know who I can trust right now. Oh, can you help me? Oh, can you help me out? Oh, it's a cruel, cruel world. It's a cruel, cruel